Hey, what's happening guys? My name is Doodles and I thought to end 2015 I would give you a little tour of my studio. Where I say tour, it's basically the room that I'm studying now. But I'll sort of show you some of the gear that I've got and some of the stuff I do as well as my guitar collection. But bear in mind it's not on the level of guys like Fluff and Glenn from Spectre Media. Those guys have invested tens of thousands of dollars into their gear and have years and years of training, whereas I've only been doing this for like less than a year. So I'm sort of playing catch up, but I am learning a lot from them, and they really have helped me choose the small amount of gear that I have got. So I'm just basically going to show you what I've got, what I use, and I'm looking to maybe do this every year at the end of the year, maybe go back and compare, see how my studio's grown over the year and sort of see what position I am in rather this time next year as opposed to now. So it should be quite a fun thing to do, and then maybe a good way to end the year. Hopefully I'll be doing the same next year because I don't intend on going anywhere. So without further ado, I'm going to basically show you my gear. Please bear in mind that I am not editing this in any way. I'm holding my phone to provide the camera, and I'm using the phone audio obviously because there's no microphone close to me. So basically if the audio sucks a little bit, it's my bad, but it's a studio tour, I can't really have a static mic providing it when I'm moving around. So without further ado, I'm going to show you my gear. So right, you can probably see behind me is a dark blue screen. That is my green screen, although it's a blue screen. This is nothing too fancy. This is literally two king size fitted sheets. I've taken the elastic out of the corners around the edges of them rather, and then basically nailed them together. And that is the backdrop that I use for my video game covers when I put the game footage behind it. This is where I film. There's a bit of mess on the floor there, which I'm not really going to go into. This studio looked a lot worse than before I started filming. I did a little bit of a quick tidy round just before I started filming this, just so it wasn't too embarrassing. But you might be able to see here, I've got a couple of stands. I've got this here, which is the tripod for my camera that I'm going to be showing you a little bit later on. It's 5 or 6 feet tall, I think it's 5 foot. Now I use that a lot when I'm filming, especially the covers, obviously just because I'm stood up and it's an easy way to position things. So it's a pretty vital piece of equipment for any YouTube video creator. And also here I've got a mic stand that came from Tormin. Basically it's their own brand. It was fairly cheap, but it does the job well. I use it when I'm doing any sort of vocal work or recording acoustic. It's really handy for that. I've got a few microphones that I use with it, which I'll be showing you a little bit later on, but nothing too exciting, literally just a couple of stands there. And moving on, I have a Fender Mustang amp. I had this prior to starting this channel. I got this a couple of years ago in a trade, and really cool piece of gear. It's an amp modeler, and one of the nicest that I have heard. I really dig it. I use it a lot when I'm writing ideas, when I'm not on the computer. It's a very nice little amp. And like I said, I had that prior to starting this YouTube channel. Those mic stands and the camera stand I picked up fairly recently, and I didn't have them. And see, I've got a couple of posts. I've got a Star Wars canvas there. I've got a GTA 5 post that I got back when the original Xbox version launched. And I've got a couple of other pieces which I've been meaning to put on my wall for about a year, but I never have. So they might go up one day. And I've got this Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech on the wall, which I really like that speech. I think he's a really cool guy, or he was rather. Really inspirational, and I like having it there and sort of looking at it from time to time. But so far, I haven't got around to doing anything else. I've got even more than that, which will probably go up in the new year if I get round to it. But moving down, I have a PV Viper amp, which I picked up fairly recently. I think I paid £46 on eBay for it, so pretty damn cheap. And I did a video on this, which you can find on my channel. It's a really cool amp modeler. This really blew me away and completely exceeded my expectations. Really cool. If you ever get the opportunity, give one a try. You won't regret it. So yeah. I've got a Fender cable which I picked up not long ago. I haven't got around to using it yet, but I picked it up about a week or so ago. I've got a little mini tripod for the camera that goes on the big tripod that I just showed you, and I've got a little stand there which I use when I'm using this phone to record. And I've got the standard cup of coffee, which is a must in any studio. And then moving across, I've got another cup there which I've been drinking from because I didn't want to have dry mouth while I was filming this. I've got a bit of spare change, and below that I have a Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. I had this prior to starting this channel. I had this a couple of years ago. I didn't really use it. I just sort of had it just in case I ever did any studio work. So when I came to starting this channel, I was pretty thankful for it. I never used it, but thankfully I had it. It saved me a bunch of money, and I was able to start with a pretty decent interface, which I'm really, really thankful for. And above that is my monitor, 24-inch 1080p monitor, which as you can see has my YouTube channel up because that was a page that I was on prior to filming this. And all of this is run by my PC, which is nothing fancy. The case is got a lot to be desired for it, but it's a basic case, but it does the job. Inside this PC I've got a i5 4670, a 3.4 GHz quad-core processor. It goes through a MSI Z97 a motherboard with 16 gig of RAM, and I also have a AMD R9 270X graphics card for when I want to do some gaming. I'm not much of a PC gamer though, I am more of a console guy, so although the graphics card isn't that great, I don't really use it that much, so it does the job. I'm looking to maybe upgrade to a i7 4790K hopefully in the new year, because although the i5 is more than enough for a lot of things when I'm rendering videos, it pretty much uses the whole CPU usage and pretty much makes my computer unusable for a while it's rendering videos. So I'm hopefully going to upgrade that, and I might upgrade the graphics card eventually, but I'm not in no rush. I'd rather upgrade the other things before I do that. So it's a pretty decent computer, it does the job. And on my computer I do everything in Reaper at the minute. That is what I'm using. That's my program of choice. Obviously because it's cheap, and it's a really great starting point, especially just to learn the basics and get into recording. I couldn't ask for a better program. And what else do I have on this computer? Just having a look now. I have Easy Drummer, which is been probably the biggest godsend when it comes to recording music. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend Toontrack products enough. I've got a few of the expansions so far, but nothing too amazing. I've got the Latin percussion, I've got the metal heads, I've got the metal machine, rock solid and made of metal. So I've still got a lot to do, but I will be expanding them more. I keep getting new ones because they're just so amazing. They really, really help out in the songwriting process. I also have Toontrack's Easy Mix 2 and Easy Keys. Easy Keys and Easy Mix I acquired fairly recently. But they're both really, really great tools, and I have been using them a lot. And I run everything through Sony Vegas when I'm doing my video editing. So basically that is all I use. I have Guitar Rig as well. I use Easy Drummer to do the drums. I generally use Guitar Rig if I think I'm going to be reamping, because it makes things a little bit easier to mess about with the tones after recording. Easy Keys for the VST sort of keyboard stuff. And then I've got a few VSTs which I use for like brass instruments as well that I downloaded for free off the internet. I think it's called DSK Brass, I think it is. Let's have a look. What have I got here? Yeah, DSK Brass. I use that to do some of the strings and brass instruments and that. It's really, really cool. And it was free. Can't really complain at that. But that is my computer. Nothing too exciting on there. Just the usual desktop stuff. And then moving on, I have a Blackstar Fly 3 amp, a little battery powered amplifier which I actually use as studio monitors because I'm cheap. I should really invest in some studio monitors, and that is on my to buy list in the new year. But basically if you plug a cable into the MP3 line in, it pretty much bypasses everything, and the amp and just uses the speaker on its own. And I've got to say, it doesn't really colour the sound at all. So although I use headphones a lot when I'm doing my recording, it is a good way to sort of reference when I'm mixing. However, I think studio monitors will probably be the better choice, but like I said, I'm cheap, so that's just what I'm using at the minute, but I will invest in some later on. And moving on, I have my Sennheiser wireless headphones, which I use when I'm pretty much doing everything. And when I'm using guitar sims such as Guitar Rig, I am using them obviously for the sound when I'm editing, and I usually switch over to the black side just when I'm in the final stages of mixing, just to make sure everything's sounding good. And right, moving on to this mess of crap. This is basically the space where I keep everything that I use, all my little bits and pieces that I may use. So I have a blue snowball microphone, which is what I use to do the audio when I'm doing voice work, when I'm not holding my phone like this. When I do my photo videos, I use the blue snowball for the mics. I have an iPad, which I use Positive Grid, Jam Up Pro and Bias effects for my guitar tones. I've been using it a lot recently, and I've also got Amplitude on there as well. I also use that for guitar tones. So my iPad is pretty much the source of my guitar tones for about 70% of my videos. And considering it's coming out of a tablet, the tone that the Positive Grid stuff makes is absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend them enough, especially for the price. Highly worth checking out if you have an iOS device. Check out the Positive Grid Jammer Pro and Bias FX. And then moving into my Cave of Wonders, I have the Canon camera. That's the 2 tripods. This is a SX600HS. It's not the greatest camera in the world, but I picked it up really cheap, and it does the job, especially if I need 2 cameras. It's always handy to have my phone, which is the Samsung Galaxy S6, which I believe can film in 4K on the front camera and 1080p on the back. 4K on the back camera, 1080p on the front camera. So it's always handy to have 2 cameras. So that is what I use as my second camera. And then also going in here, I have a unopened Nirvana Nevermind CD, which I bought myself and I never used. I have another set of headphones. I have a Dunlop Crybaby wah pedal, which I use every now and then. You do hear it from time to time, although not as often as I probably should. It's a fantastic pedal, and I have to make a point out of using it a bit more because it's pretty damn cool. And in here I've got a card reader because I've got one in my computer, but you never know when it might break. You might need one that was a quid, so you can't really complain. I've got some Diodario XL 11 to 49 strings, I've got some Martin acoustic strings, and I've got some Ernie Ball Power Slinky 11 to 48 as well. I'm currently doing reviews of the Diodarios and the Martin strings, so expect to see them on the channel very soon. Now this is my drawer of wonders. This is all where my bits and pieces are. I've got some Diodario Lemon Oil. This is one of these string boxes that I did a review of. I've got some Fender strap locks in there. I've got some Augustine acoustic strings as well as some stickers. So that's in that one. I have my string cutter, pretty much handy little device that I've had for about 10 years. I've got some Wrangler guitar picks. This is a T-Bone MB75. This is a SM57 clone from Torman, where I got my mic stand. I got this at the same time. Let's just open this box up one-handedly in a very awkward manner and nearly drop it. I haven't done a review on this yet, but I will be very soon. Like I said, this is a SM57 clone. You heard it on my PV Viper demo. I did use this microphone. It's really cool. I haven't tried the SM57s, but I want to one day so I can compare the two. So that is that microphone, and then in here as well, also a T-Bone, is a large diaphragm condenser mic, which I'll open up, which is pretty damn nice. Really does the job well. I used it for the vocal section of my PV Viper demo. You probably saw the microphone sat there on screen. That was this microphone. Really nice for the price. This wasn't much at all. If you want to check them out, go to torman.de and check out their T-Bone range of stuff, because it is really cheap and really high quality. I also have a, it's going to fall out of the box, but I have a T-Bone pop shield, handy for when you're doing vocal work. I'll be using that from time to time. I haven't actually used it just yet, but it is a pretty essential piece of gear. I've got some batteries for my active pickups. I've got some controllers, GameCube, Xbox controllers. I've got a set of Allen keys when I'm messing about with my Floyd Rose. What else have I got? I think this is pretty much just junk in here. I have a load of guitar picks. I have some Diodario NYXL 7-string strings, although I don't own a 7-string, so I can't really use them. I've got some SD cards for my camera, because you never know when you need that bit of extra space. I've got some guitar picks, and I've got some fret locks. So that is what is in that drawer of wonders where all my random bits of gear go. So that is about it for the studio. And now for the good part, probably the reason why you clicked this video, you probably just watched 15 minutes of pointless stuff that you didn't want to see. But now I'm going to quickly pause this video and I'll be back with my guitar collection and we'll go through that. Right, so I'm back, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through each of my guitars one by one and let you know what they are, and maybe any little bits of details and stories about them when I get round to it. So first things first, I have this random ukulele that I bought from Argos for like $14.99. It feels cheap as hell. It probably plays like crap as well, but I've never actually got around to using it. So that is just a random ukulele that lies around the house. And next up I have my bass, which is a Westfield bass. Nothing too fancy, but I needed a bass and it does the job, and surprisingly feels really nice to play. I actually really do dig it. I use it in all of my music that I do, so you hear it all the time. I'm thinking about maybe putting some new pickups in it, and maybe bring it to life a little bit more. If not, I'll probably end up buying a new one in the future. But for now, it does the trick just nicely, and I've got to say, it's better than I expected it to be. And then next up, I have my acoustic. This is a Tanglewood exotic acoustic. I picked this up a few years ago, I think 2012. I think it was 250 quid. It's not massively expensive, but it's really nice. I've got to say, for the price point, I didn't think you'd get an acoustic this nice for that little amount of money. It's so nice to play. It feels great. It sounds great. You haven't really heard much acoustic on my channel yet, but you will be hearing and seeing this a bit more in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for that, guys. And next up is a guitar you've never actually seen on this channel yet, and that is the Schecter Blackhawk. I picked it up in the summer for pretty much nothing. I think I paid like 80 quid for it. The reason I wanted it was for this paint job. This is a custom done Mass Effect paint job, which is carbon fibre style graphic on the body with the N7 Mass Effect logo. The pickups are just some Schecter pickups, which I'm going to change out probably for some iron gears, which I'll be doing in the new year. I'll pick this up and do some Mass Effect covers, which I never got around to doing, so that's why I haven't seen it yet. But expect it, because it's a pretty nice guitar, and like I said, for 80 quid, you can't really go wrong. Schecter don't make bad guitars, so I'm looking forward to using this a bit more. I'm going to string it up, set it up, strip some new pickups in it, and we'll get some Mass Effect covers done in the new year. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. And this is my Epiphone Les Paul Standard, or rather it's a body and a neck of an Epiphone Les Paul Standard. I started doing a series in the summer on restoring this thing. However, I did run into a few issues with the wiring, and I basically never got around to finishing it. But I've been really busy making videos and doing other things, and weeks can just fly by without you realising. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. Those videos are coming. Those are iron gear, hot slag in the bridge, and a rolling mill in the neck, which, for you people that don't know, Iron Gear is a very small pickup company in the UK. They're really cheap, but they are absolutely fantastic. They don't like to compare themselves to other brands, but I would probably compare these two pickups to being a Seymour Duncan JB and 59, or a JB and a Jazz. It would probably be the closest pickups that I could compare them to if I had to choose a similar pickup. But they're absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to demo them. Like I said, I will be getting this finished very soon, because it's one of my favourite guitars and I'm really missing it. So expect to see that soon. I have been sanding the body. I'm trying to get the plasticky toy look that some of the solid colours have on Epiphones. I think that does. It looks a bit plasticky, so I've been sanding it every now and then, trying to just take the shine off it and make it look a little bit rougher. It's coming along nicely. Next up out of my random guitars is a Squier Strat. That was my very first guitar, actually, and I use this one to do a lot of tests on when I'm sort of like learning how to mod things and do bits and pieces. I've been experimenting with this, so this is pretty much just a wreck. It obviously doesn't work, but I will probably strip the paint eventually in another sort of experiment and a learning curve, and I'll finish it up and I'll get the guitar back working again. Even though it's literally just this mess of crap on the floor, I would never get rid of it because it's my first guitar, even though it does look like shit. So anyway, moving on to the ones that I actually use. Next up we have my Epiphone 1960s Tribute Plus. This is a phenomenal guitar. You've seen it a few times on this channel, but I haven't done a full review of it just yet. I will get around to it eventually. I think this is a 2013 model, I think. It's either 2012, 2013. It's absolutely fantastic. One of the nicest, if not the nicest guitar that I've ever played. If you stuck a nitro paint job on it and a Gibson headstock, you could easily sell this for 2 or 3 times the amount, because it is absolutely phenomenal. It's got Gibson 57 pickups in it, which sound so nice. The clarity is amazing on them. They are a tad bright, so they're not great for some of the more heavier stuff where you need a bit more low end, but for everything else they are amazing. I do use it on a regular basis, and you will be seeing a review of it on my channel very soon. And then next up, while we're still going through the Les Pauls, I have my 2013 Gibson LPJ, which is in the chocolate colour. It's got a 490 pickup in the neck and a 498 in the bridge. So fairly standard Gibson pickups that have been used again and again over the years. It feels absolutely fantastic to play. It was my very first Gibson. Pretty much the LPJs are like standards without all the extra stuff on it, without the binding, the fancy paint job and that, but the pickups are being used in a lot of the big Gibson models over the years. It feels fantastic. It's got a 50s neck. I do like a rounded neck, so this is absolutely perfect. You've seen this in a few videos and I've done a review of it, but you'll be seeing it many times over the coming months on this channel. And then next up, this is probably my #1 guitar that you've seen. You've seen this guitar a lot on this channel. This is a Schecter S1. This guitar was, although it's fairly cheap, it was high on my wish list. I first fell in love with it seeing Zaki Vengeance play them in Avenged Sevenfold, and I really had to get one, but they don't come around very often from Schecter. They only get released every now and then, and I scored this on eBay, I think about £200 delivered. It's absolutely fantastic. I fell in love with it straight away. Like I said, it was high on my wish list and it sounds great. I'm going to put some new pickups in it in the new year. Probably some iron gears again, as well as do a few other modifications to make it that even bit better, even though it's not a great deal I'd like to change on it, except the pickups are Duncan design, so maybe putting some better pickups in it won't go amiss. But apart from that, absolutely amazing guitar and I absolutely love it. And last but not least, this is the newest addition to the family. This is a Schecter Banshee with Floyd Rose trem system and AMG 81 and 85. This is an absolutely amazing guitar. This is the first guitar I've owned with active pickups and the first guitar that I've owned with Floyd. It's really amazing. It sounds so good. It's got 24 frets, older body. It's really beautiful. You're going to see a review on this in the new year, and I've started using it in a few videos that you'll also see in the new year, so keep an eye on it. It sounds absolutely amazing, and I fell in love with it the second I started playing it. So that is my collection of guitars. I do have one more guitar though, which is not in the video because it is on layaway. I just had to have it, but I didn't want it to go without me getting a chance to buy it, so it's on layaway. So I will be getting that in the new year, so keep an eye out for that, guys. Right, so that brings me to the end of my studio tour. Like I said, it's not the most fancy studio in the world, but it's off to a good start. I'm very happy with how it's come along. I've scored some pretty good gear over last year, especially in the guitar section. I'm very happy with my collection, although I am already planning my next purchases, so expect to see them very soon. Because I love buying new guitars and love doing new reviews for you guys, so I'm going to keep on doing that. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hopefully this has gave you a little bit of an insight into where I work and where I do my stuff. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you want to see anything else like this, or you want to see me explain or show any of the things for you guys, let me know in the comments and I will try and do them for you. I hope you guys have enjoyed it once again. I hope this is a good way to end the year. Like I said, hopefully we can do another one next year and I can basically see how it's came along over last year. So that's all, guys. My name is Doodles. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year, everyone, and I'll see you guys next year.